effective interactions with your clients, you want to be really open to any feedback that they give you, but you have to teach clients often how to give feedback because not everybody is as versed as we are in giving and receiving feedback. So it's hard for the everyday person.
Welcome to Summer First Experience. In this show, we'll be covering everything a new entrepreneur needs to know to set up their business and how you can grow and scale your business in the shortest possible time. If you have a question in mind, go to salmanfarsi.co/ask and submit your question. We might answer it in the next episode. Let's begin our today's episode. Today we have an amazing guest, Adele Wiejaczka. With over a decade of experience in design field and master in fine arts in graphic design, Adele now helps creative artists and designers who want to earn full-time income from their passion to successful launch and run their high-end graphics design businesses. She has a gift for you guys. Stick to the end to find out what it is. Let's start. Did I pronounce it right?
It's close. That's all right.
Okay, so for our listener who don't know about you, tell me about yourself. How did you started? Why are you not today? Basically, your story.
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, my name's Adele. I'm from Alaska, and I've been running my branding agency where we provide graphic and web design for the past 10 years. And over the pandemic year, I put together a graphic design course for students who are learning graphic design in a remote environment. Because I also teach university graphic design and wanted to bring that knowledge in a more accessible way to freelancers and creatives all over the world.
Okay. What inspired you to shift your working in your design agency to cultivate a worldwide creative community as a teacher and mentor?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been providing design for NGOs and nonprofits for the past 10 years. But over the pandemic, I just noticed, a lot of people wanting to go more remote or struggling to find design work. So I wanted to provide an interface where they could learn the design skills, the business skills, and the marketing skills that they need to excel. So that's why I put together the course. And it's really the culmination of what I've been able to put together in my branding agency and provide for my clients. I've now packaged that in a way that other creatives can learn how to achieve that and sell those packages to their design clients. And I also just really enjoy mentoring and working with, younger designers. It's collaboration as a creative, I think, is really powerful.
What mistake have you done in this last 10 years?
I'm sure I've done a lot of mistakes. I think for me, I was isolated in a lot of the beginning of my business. And I don't think that's the best way to, get better at skills or to be around other creatives. So I was in Northern Alaska when I started my business in a small cabin and just didn't have a lot of other entrepreneurs to be around or graphic designers. So eventually I left, and that gave me an opportunity to interface just more with entrepreneurial communities. So that's always what I suggest to my design students as well, is to make sure that they find mentors and a creative community where they can come and share their challenges and also get feedback on their work, because I just think we become the best creatives and designers possible by working with others.
What's the benefit of having creative community as a creative person?
Yeah, well, so essentially we get to bounce ideas off of each other. Creatives in and of themselves, like in the creative archetype, we can sometimes isolate ourselves, and sometimes we lack confidence, or we can be a little bit sheepish about charging properly for our services. So I think when we're in community, it inspires us and also supports us to charge what we're worth, and then also helps us just evolve and be better. So when you're learning graphic design, it's essential that you're getting feedback from a more skilled designer so that you can understand what you're doing right and what you're not, what you can improve upon so that you can become a better designer. Essentially, great design doesn't necessarily happen in a vacuum. So the more that we can, be around each other, A, the more fun we have, but B, the higher quality of our work is, and then C, the more we grow as entrepreneurs to be able to find our target market and our next clients.
in the beginning, a graphic designer or a creative person, they're afraid to charge more what they are worth. So how they can know what's their value of their work, the creative thing they're creating?
Yeah. So it is hard when you're first beginning. You need to build up your skill set to a certain level, to be able to provide the services and packages that clients might need. So in my online course, I teach a very specific service package that designers can then sell. And that's only a 12-week process. And I'm able to help guide them towards creating their offerings and their packages. But there's not necessarily like a baseline, cost I could tell you to every designer out there, because I need to understand their niche and their skill set so that they can go from there. But what I would recommend is evaluating your skill set. So what are you good at? What do you want to provide to your clients? I would look at your market. Are you working with individuals? Are you working with businesses? So you can evaluate what sort of budgets that they have and just start having dialogues with your customers. I even in my intake forms ask them what their budget for a project is. And that helps, especially in the beginning, gauge, what sort of budgets are available for different types of design projects.
So how they can charge more when they are growing?
Yeah. So what I recommend is that you package your services. I see a lot of designers on like Fiverr or Upwork, and they're, maybe offering like a business card design or like one-off, project.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend creating packages so that you have more value that you're providing your client. So then it's not just a pretty business card. It becomes about creating an entire brand for them so that they can monetize off of that and have actual ROI. So again, that's what I teach in my course, so that students then also have the verbiage to be able to share the value with their client or their prospects of what they'll actually be getting from those design services. So it's very important as designers that we understand the value that our design work provides for our clients and that we're able to communicate that to them. It's not just about creating something pretty. It's about communicating effectively through the design that we create to a target market.
I personally prefer to charge based on the clients. So what's your opinion about it? So if you create a package, you're fixing the, what do you say, amount actually. So the same work can be valuable for someone. You're doing the same thing. It can be valuable for someone else, less valuable, and for someone is more valuable. So based on their value, the client's value, it may vary. The price may vary. So what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very abstract question. So we're talking a very big generalization. So you need to evaluate your prospect. And yes, what you charge a solopreneur mom, who is just starting her business compared to, a large corporation, they absolutely should be different. But I encourage my students to define their niche. So who they're working with before they create their packages and their cost, so that then they have some clarity. So niching is really important so that you can stand out from the crowd. So, do you want to work with solopreneurs or do you want to work with large companies? In my agency, we work with a lot of NGOs and nonprofits. They generally have budgets for marketing and graphic design. And I'm aware of, kind of the scope of availability for budgets in those areas. And then, yes, I price accordingly.
Okay. How can you identify, I'm not getting the word, high-end graphics designers, so high-end creative people? How can someone identify?
It's all about you creating a system for your business. So instead of a client coming to you and saying, I want A, B, and C, you create a system of services and products that you provide for your client, and you carry them through that process. So it's more so designers learning to lead the process very efficiently and strongly so that their clients feel comfortable in that space. People are willing to pay more when they're guided very clearly through a process. And again, you need to make sure you package your products and offer something that's valuable to a client. A whole brand that includes logos and a brand book and, the opportunity to create brand equity over time is going to be much more valuable than one-off, business cards or a one-off poster. So in my agency, we brand our clients for 10 years, so they're able to actually monetize off of the brands that we create for them. And it's a one-time cost. So as long as you're able to articulate that to clients, that helps them understand the value of the work. So I think it's really shifting into owning our business processes, and instead of letting clients come to us and just dictate what we're creating for them. So you need to have a business head about you as you create your collateral for your clients to make sure that they're actually what's needed for, like I said, I work for a lot of NGOs and nonprofits and smaller businesses. So I have a lot of insight into what those particular business needs are so that I'm supplying the right assets for them so they're actually being effective.
That was nice. So as a graphics designer, how can anyone improve their creative skills?
Well, I would recommend taking my course. It's a 12-week course, and we go through the design skills, the business skills, and the marketing and sales skills in an authentic way. And that's the most condensed version of what I can find to address all three. But there's a variety of ways. I would recommend finding a mentor in some capacity. There's a lot of great Facebook groups for graphic designers, so that you have someone that you can go to and ask questions of. You can post in these groups. You also, for me, I got a traditional degree. I got my master's in graphic design. I think we're moving out of those times. That's not what I recommend anymore. I think there's much more efficient ways to learn high conceptual graphic design in the commercial world. Because with my degree, I did not learn the business skills and I didn't learn the marketing and sales. So I still had to learn that outside of my traditional degree. So potentially finding a mentor or some of these, Facebook groups or otherwise. Here in America, we have organizations that are dedicated towards design, like AIGA. There's different variations of that around the world. So there's events going on, there's speakers, there's online events. There's also like Design Week around America as well, where, there'll be a lot of different events. So I just recommend getting involved so that you can start connecting with people. And any of these social media platforms, you should be able to find people that are dedicating their content towards designers.
Get a mentor and surround yourself with the designers, basically, right?
Yeah, creatives, yeah. But
Yeah,
if you're
people.
specifically working on graphic design, then I would recommend that you're in some sort of groups that support the evolution of that, yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, we actually go to Facebook and find groups and join them and see other posts what to figure out. I'm also into the not actually graphic design, I'm also branding, so I can relate a lot of things. Do you prefer to work individually or as a team, as a part of a team?
Yeah, there's times where I just want to kind of create on my own, and but then I think it's important to bring that design work to some sort of community so you can get reflection. Or I step away from my work and come back when my head is clear to see how it's translating. But I always enjoy working in some collaborative sense. At this point in my career, I work as a creative director, so I'm actually leading my team, and I'm able to give them feedback and direct them towards the work and help them evolve it to the next level. So that's a place that I enjoy working in. I'm doing a little less of the everyday design and a little more of the creative direction. So I really enjoy that.
How to handle negative feedback?
Feedback from clients?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the process that I create, it actually front ends all of the interactions with clients to negate any sort of negative experience. I think it's very important to communicate effectively with your design work and present your work in a particular way. I also teach that in my course so that you can have effective interactions with your clients. You want to be really open to any feedback that they give you, but you have to teach clients often how to give feedback because not everybody is as versed as we are in giving and receiving feedback. So it's hard for the everyday person. So I try to teach my clients that negative and positive feedback is always a part of the process, and any of it helps support the evolution of the project. And I always try to give them confidence that we will get there as long as they're honest with me each step of the way. So when I present work, I offer very specific questions that then they can respond to. And I never reply defensively. You always want to be open to their feedback. Maybe you're going to direct them in a different way, but it's important that they feel heard. And then maybe you execute one of their ideas and you know it's not the best, but then you also do a different direction that could be better, and you help show them why that might be a better solution. So
that's a nice way. What should be a graphic designer's mindset?
Yeah, okay. Another very large, overarching question. I would argue that having a growth mindset is very important. So just remembering that we always can evolve our skill set and remaining curious to the world and to learning more and not getting stuck in our ways. I think creatives in general, we're quite growth mindset oriented, like we're curious about the world. So yeah, that compared to like a fixed mindset where we feel like we can't improve or we can't get better. So one example of that is a lot of people will say that they can't draw. Well, you can simply learn how to draw. Like it's a skill that you can learn. Some people are more naturally talented at being good at that at a younger age, but there's no reason why we can't learn any of the skill sets that we desire. So a growth mindset informs us that we always can learn something new. So for example, I learned web design 10 years ago. I'm not like naturally a coder. I don't code anymore, but I did learn it, and I learned it's not necessarily my favorite thing in the world. So I now have a development team, but it's neat to know that we have that ability as individuals and creatives. And I think that just helps us to remember that we can always learn new things, especially around the business and the marketing side of our businesses.
I actually know a little bit about web designing. I would say it's like my company creates web development, websites, and I don't know how to code.
Yeah, and that's all right. There's a lot of different ways to put together agencies. You don't have to know every single part. An agency like mine, I have about 10 team members, and we have a design and development team. And now, I'm hands off with the development too, because people can just do it much more efficiently than I can. So,
yeah. In the beginning, while we were studying, we are afraid to ask. We're afraid to charge. I have seen a lot. My friends have. I have lots of friends that are charging around for a work. They are charging $50 to $100. So for those people who are afraid to charge, or they actually don't know how should they charge, what would you say about them? So for them.
I think you need to find your niche. When you feel connected to a particular niche, then you have some sort of value proposition in that industry that is going to give you more value than others. So for me, I have my undergrads in environmental education. I ended up working for a lot of outdoor companies and environmental organizations that I had a unique connection to. And, of course, I have the creative skills as well. So that gave me a bit more of a positioning. But yeah, it's a mindset you have to grow into, like learning how to charge. And I think that's a very important thing to have community around. I took business courses to start learning how to package my services and understand how to do this in a way that would work effectively. I also wouldn't charge $50 for a logo. So this is why I try to train designers to be high-end designers as long as we're providing conceptual graphic design work. So nothing stock or, it all needs to be customized for the project. There are people that want those services. We just have to challenge ourselves to package it correctly, find the market that we have some sort of connection to, and then work with them through a process that gives them something of value. So it's a bit of a process. There's nothing I could tell you today that's going to be the secret trick to charging more. I just would try not to mimic other designers. I would try to understand who you are as a designer so that you can find your unique selling proposition to an industry of your choice that will help you stand out. And I promise you that all of us have that differentiation. We just have to find it. So that's what I work with my students on in my course as well.
How can a designer market themselves?
Another very large question. It depends, what we're looking at. If we're looking at an individual freelancer or an agency, I recommend that all freelancers start with organic marketing on social media with a solid web portfolio that clearly states who you work with and what sort of service you provide. That's something a lot of portfolio sites lack. They're just showcasing work, but it doesn't inform the everyday viewer what they're actually selling. So that's why you need to have a business mindset as a designer to ensure that you're not just splattering work out there, but you're instead differentiating yourself and finding, I keep saying the word niche, but like you need to be clear with your audience so that there's a clear translation there. Essentially, when people land on your website within 5 seconds, they should know whether they are in the right spot or not. So, I say I offer iconic brands for NGOs and nonprofits, very simple. It doesn't have to be very complicated, but, I have a small book publishing company. That's a totally different company. And, so over there we say we offer, high-end book design for authors. And so those are the types of niches that you can find. Again, the design process is very similar in the book company as it is to the branding, but I differentiated the two, and that allows me to market it a lot more effectively because then I can find those target audience people specifically on these platforms. So I can go for the book company, I can go to an author Facebook group page and I can see who needs book designs and I can start dialoguing with them and I can offer value in those groups. And I would recommend offering value before you start marketing yourself so that you're starting a relationship with people. So it's not about DMing people and telling them what services you have. It just doesn't work. We all get that on LinkedIn. It's more about cultivating a community. So be posting about what you're excited about and how your work helps other people and showcase the type of work that you want more of, and really focus on that.
What's the value of a portfolio as a designer?
Yeah, so as a freelancer, we typically have individual aesthetics as a designer. So our portfolio should reflect that. I don't believe in doing spec work. So if a client comes to you and wants you to try work, they want you to design something for free. I would not recommend that. You instead want a portfolio that clearly showcases your aesthetic and the type of work that you do. Within that portfolio, though, you do need to demonstrate more of the commercial side of it and make sure you're being clear about who you work with and what those services are. So try to sit as a non-designer when you're viewing your portfolio and see if it's translating. I like to do case studies in my portfolio. So it showcases the before and the after and why a client came to me, the process that we provided for them, and then the outcome, including aspects of the ROI, So I'll say stuff like this particular client earned back their investment for branding within 6 months because, they were able to utilize an effective branding process that helped position them more effectively. So that also requires dialoguing with your clients about how your design work helps improve their business.
What if someone don't have portfolio?
Then you can, so if you're just starting out, you need to find a way to produce work. So you can work with family or friends. You can charge less, as you're starting out to start building that portfolio. You can work on fictitious projects. You can go to nonprofits and you could brand them for free, to be able to, add value and contribute. I just would be very intentional about it. So I've heard of some people offering free logos to 75 people. Like that's ridiculous. Instead, focus on a few really quality projects and excel at it and make sure you get a testimonial from the person you worked with. Treat it like a real world project. I even would have a contract if you're going to do anything for free so that they understand and treat you professionally through the process and you have a really solid outcome. In my course, we also address that challenge because some people don't have portfolio work. So there's ways to build that up effectively. You don't need a ton of portfolio work to be effective in your marketing. So, even if you can put together 3 to 5 really quality case studies, that can help you achieve and land new clients.
How can someone get their first client?
I recommend figuring out what niche you want to be in. So it all starts with understanding who you want to work with and what sort of projects you want to be doing. So it's a bit too vague of a question for me to answer without understanding someone's background or what did they train in, what is their skill set. So I spend a lot of time in understanding my students' niche so that we can position them correctly. But organic marketing is a great place to start, but you need to know what industry you want to be working with. So being very vague and saying I work with, business people and I do their logos, like it's not clear enough. You need to get very clear about what sort of projects you want to be working on. And then you need to hang out where those people are hanging out and start having conversations. And depending on the quality of your portfolio, your first client could come in a couple different ways, but you can position yourself very well on Upwork as a high-end designer and get your first few projects through somewhere like there as well. It's pretty easy to create your portfolio on Upwork. I just would do it in a pretty strategic way so that you're niched and you don't look like every other general graphic designer out there.
How can someone stand out as a graphic designer?
It all leads to branding yourself effectively. So you need to find your niche and you need to find the service that you provide, and then you will stand out. But it's important that you differentiate yourself from the, masses of designers that are out there or DIY people who are making, stuff. You need to showcase why you have value, so you need to figure out where that value is as a designer first. And then you really need to create that. We call it a brand promise. So who do you help? What result do you give them? And what is the aspirational outcome that they achieve? So I would recommend spending some time on that stuff before you're going out and just saying I make logos, because that's focuses too much on the logo and not enough on this. You could be providing these really amazing brand packages that could be worth triple the amount of a logo all by itself. And because there's so much more value there, you're actually helping your clients, position themselves in the market and be more effective. So you always need to be thinking about how you can give your clients more value. And that will allow you to find avenues to dialogue with them. To be able to sell the packages that you want to.
What's your best advice for a graphic designer?
I think just making sure you find community so that you're always growing is important as a designer. We don't want to get stagnant, and we need to stay up with, the different design trends that are going on with, what's going on in the world. So it's just important to have community around that and be showing up in that community. And it's usually pretty uplifting to be a part of. So I think it's pretty easy to do these days. So that's not a hard first step to take. And then you're constantly around other people that are trying to do the same thing that you're doing.
Okay, we are almost at the end. So where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, sure. So my platform is called livelargecollective.com. And that's where I teach students. Right now, we're going through our first version of the high-end graphic design blueprint, where I teach everything from zero to monetizing in 12 weeks related to graphic design, business, and marketing. But I'd love to offer your followers an opportunity to join my free masterclass. It's called How to Become a High-End Graphic Designer, and you'll learn a lot more about what we've talked about today. to help evolve you on your journey and really create, get a little bit more detailed and actually creating your business platform to support you making more premium prices as a designer. So I'll link you guys. I'll give you a link for that, and you guys can sign up.
Yeah, I will add the links to the show notes. Any last words for our listeners?
I don't think so. Just thanks for your time and stay curious. That's the hallmark of being a creative and a designer in this world. So I appreciate your time.
Okay, so that's how we end it.
Thanks for joining us today. Hit the subscribe button, and if you're listening this on Apple Podcast, please leave a review. This will really help us to make our future episodes better. Have a question in mind? Go to sonofarsi.co/ask and submit your question. We see every submission and we might answer it in the next episode. Thanks again for listening. We will see you on Tuesday and Thursday. Have a great week.